Opened up so many worlds that I can think of about 10 academic conferences that I have in my mind that we could hold, but on these subjects, just the richness of your experience, and I would like just to probe one part of that, and that's that the music that we will be singing, other than maybe the conductus, which is a little bit outside the liturgy, but the rest of it is very strictly liturgical music.
Yes.
And your thoughts about presenting liturgical music, a divine office, in the modern world.
Yes, it's important because the modern world doesn't know really where this liturgy, even the Catholic themselves, the Catholic world now since 50 years, that don't want to really pay attention to the patrimony of the liturgical history, except a few people, of course. But and nowadays, experiment of great Vespers, very few people have this experiment. And for instance, the program we are preparing, the Vespers for St. James, we sing everything. It's almost 2 hours long, so it's very, very long Vespers. First, because the antiphony are very developed, or the psalm, normal psalms, but the hymns also, if we sing everything, is almost 15 minutes long. So, no, it's the duration of the liturgical time that the Roman Catholic have lost now. It's still existing in the Greek, the Eastern liturgy and so. And so it's important also to give a testimony of what it was in concert, but also in liturgy. You know, I am now in Moissac. It's an old abbey in the south of France, near Toulouse. And every year for the Feast of St. James, we do the first Vespers entirely. And after the day of St. James, we make a collaboration with the parish of Moissac, so we cannot do all the office, we just do a few parts. But when we do a side of the parish liturgy, we do all this liturgy, and that's a good occasion for Catholic and non-Catholic to discover this aesthetic of this old liturgy with another relationship with the time itself. That's very important to chiefly in the modern world where people are always running, in a hurry, always, and so to make the experiment of this aspect of the development of time. You are just there to spend a while. It's just a while. It's not 20 minutes or 30 minutes, 15 minutes. It's just you spend a while, and also to develop this connection with what I call the great time. I mean the rhythm of the day itself, and the rhythm of the year also. For the day itself, you know, when we do, but we have a little festival around in Moissac around the Feast of St. James. The Feast of St. James is 25th of July, so we start a few days before, and so we make musical audition. I don't say concert because the term concert is much too linked with a social ritual from the 19th, 20th century, and I think we have to think differently this musical ritual, and so with this musical audition we organize, we do music at the rising of the sun, for instance. We meet in the church while it's still dark and at 5 or 6 in the morning, and we attend the rising of the sun, listening to music. So, you know, these kind of experiments, very few people do this experiment. But nothing, nobody forbid us to do experiment. Just a mental barrier, you know. And well, in Moissac, it's a Romanic church, and so to have this experiment, I think it's really important because this music, well, musical aspect aside, you know, this music gives us also a testimony and an experiment of the way men of this time were living, the way they were thinking, their relationship with just the world itself, the universe itself, and the relationship with the memory and the imagination, and so all these things that are very, very, very important. And that reminds me, 3-4 years ago, you know, it was the time of the craze of the subprimes, you know, and everybody was in Europe was everybody had problems, you know. And so, and I remember a lecture I made in Moissac with all the authority of Moissac and so on, and I invited them to make a reflection on the notion of investment, because I told them, you know, this church we have in Moissac has been done 1 millennium ago. And the investment of made this man of this time until now, this city is living on this investment, because in Moissac, if you take away the church and this romantic church, and so there's nothing. So most of the city now is living because of this investment made 1,000 years ago. And so are we now able to do an investment that 1,000 years ago is going to make live our children? So I invited them to make a deep reflection on what we call patrimony, but patrimony not only the stones, the buildings, but the mind. What these men had in their mind to build such a thing that until now can feed us. And through this music, I think we have the best key and the best door to get in, because music means always a context of resurrection, because music cannot live. There is no man that are going to sing, that are going to call for others, come and listen also. That music is always something, a phenomenon of incarnation. And so I think with all this aspect in mind, we can really go further in this music, and not only to do just a reconstruction of a nice music thought 8 or 9 centuries ago, but maybe this music can open our mind to another way to think our relationship between each other and the world.